So, Michelle, this principle of firewalls, what is a firewall and how does it work?
The firewall is a separation between immigration enforcement and access to services or justice. So what does this mean in practice? It means, for example, that children can go to school safely without fearing that their identity will be transmitted to the immigration authorities. That a woman who is undocumented, who's experienced gender-based violence, as an example, can safely go to a shelter for women's victims, can safely go to, for example, the emergency room in a hospital, can safely go to the police and file a complaint against the perpetrator without fearing that she will actually be deported in the case of the police because she's undocumented. It's the same for labor inspection in the workplace, that an undocumented worker can actually file a complaint with a labor inspector without fearing that the labor inspector will be obliged to immediately call the police because the worker is undocumented.
Okay. And is this principle being applied in practice? Do you have some examples of cities or local authorities which are successfully using these firewalls?
Yes, there are some emerging initiatives in the European context. So, for example, the city of Amsterdam has set up a policy where it has safe reporting spaces for undocumented in specific communities to talk to the police, to report crimes in a very safe space. This has since become a national policy, basically on a structural sense. It is official policy, but it hasn't yet really been implemented in practice. We have other examples, once again, in the labor context in Belgium, where undocumented can safely work with an NGO, be accompanied by an NGO to report to the labor inspectors. But it's more of a practice, it's not a formal policy. In Ireland, undocumented workers can safely go to the labor courts in cases of exploitation and file a case in courts. So there are emerging practices, but the big challenge is that we really need more structural changes.